Hello, this is Heri from Tour, and you're listening to Sonic Perspectives.
Heri, I gotta ask you something. Do your arms hurt from holding the heathen hammer so high?
No, I sort of relaxed it a bit recently, so no, my arm's fine.
Okay, good. That's really, really good to hear that. So, like, for our listeners that really aren't familiar with your sound, you guys started off sounding like pretty prog metal, like in the Eric the Red days, but you're not doing that so much these days. Could you describe your sound for the listeners who haven't heard you guys?
Well, we're a pretty basic heavy metal band. If you think about the sound, like we're vocals, 2 guitars, bass and drums, and that's it. But then we have a Nordic influence. We come from the Faroe Islands in the North Atlantic, and our influence is Nordic folk music to a very large extent, and some of the lyrics in Faroese, Danish, Icelandic, and Norwegian, and some Nordic mythology also in our lyrics. So that, of course, makes an impact on the sound. But other than that, it's just pure heavy metal, in my opinion.
You guys do take like a lot of old Faroese and Nordic songs and metalize them, right?
Yeah, we've done that. That's sort of our trademark over the years.
Is that something that was like part of your vision for the band before when you were getting it off the ground?
Yeah, absolutely. That was one of the things I really loved, and I wanted to try out when we made the band.
What inspired you to do that? Had you heard somebody else doing it, or did you just think it would sound cool?
Well, there were musicians in the Faroes who had done it with other styles of music, not metal, like jazz and world music and some folk music. But I heard a Danish musician make like a jingle for a TV show that used the Faroese traditional and put sort of rock, cinematic rock, metalish music behind it, and I thought it was a great idea, and I wanted to try it myself. But I'd also been very interested in Faroese and Nordic folk music since I was very young, and I'd been fascinated by mythology and history since I was 10 years old. So it was something that was already quite close to my heart.
So it was like a natural thing for you. You're just putting your loves together.
Precisely.
Okay. One of the most distinctive aspects of Tyr is the sound of your voice. The vocals are so freaking cool. But like,
thanks.
Yeah, but like, I'd completely forgotten that you weren't originally the singer for Tyr. How did you end up behind the mic?
When we made the second album, Eric the Red, we had problems finding a permanent vocalist. Our vocalist on the first album had quit. He didn't really want to, at that time, pursue a professional career in music. And we tried out a few singers, nothing really worked, and we had studio time booked, and everything was sort of hectic. We really felt the need to keep things going while we had the momentum. And looking back, that was not the right way to look at it, but that's how we felt. And I was in music school at the time. I had majored in guitar and vocals for the first half year. But then I switched from vocals to music theory. But I had a little bit of, professional vocal lessons. So I decided to just give it a go. And it worked on album, at least for the first time. I'd been singing since I started to play guitar when in a band. I started to play guitar when I was 17. And when I was 14, we made the first band when I was 17. And I sang, backing vocals. So that was my only experience with it, and I hadn't been a very good singer at all. But this worked in studio. Jacob Hansen was the guy who made our first album, and he somehow made it work. So it was really an emergency solution.
Wow. So why do you think that wasn't the best way to go about it?
I didn't feel I'm not a natural entertainer. I'm not a natural front guy if you see us live, you more get the feeling that Gunnar is the front man, because he's a natural entertainer.
He's very active on stage.
Yeah, and I'm not. I always wanted to do that. There's no denying that, but I didn't feel, mentally equipped for it, and to a certain degree, I still don't.
Really?
Yeah.
Because, you've been singing for the band for what, like 18 years now?
Yeah, since Eric the Red, that was in 2003.
Yeah, that was a good while. And do you still feel like a bit of stage fright or like any like insecurity?
I haven't had stage fright ever since I was in my late teens. That's not the issue. It's just that I'm a very introverted person, and it doesn't come naturally to me to stand on stage and entertain thousands of people. It's sort of I develop some routines and sort of do the same things over, and sometimes I improvise, and I have a quirky humor, and when I say something in the spirit of the moment that I think is funny, nobody laughs at it. And so I'm not the right guy for that job. I can see that very clearly, but I've done it nonetheless.
But you have a fantastic voice, though, and you really know how to perform on stage. So like hearing that is really surprising. I think it's wonderful that you've been able to overcome, that insecurity, even if you don't think you have.
Thanks.
Of course. So you guys toured the United States last year, playing some songs on the new album.
We played one song from the new album. We played the opener track, and we've played that, since the US tour.
Were the audiences like generally confused about that?
No, we introduced it as a new song that they haven't heard before, and judging from most people's reaction, they liked it, and few people who were with us on the tour said, after hearing the chorus a few times, it really sticks in their ears. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's a fantastic song. The new album also has a really, really cheerful title.
It's called Hell in Faroese. I suppose you'd say hell in English.
Yeah.
And it's a very gloomy and hopeless album. Hell is the realm of the underworld in Norse mythology, and it's also the name of the goddess who guards the realm. And she's the daughter of Loki, and she is supposedly a ghastly, horrible creature to look upon. And it's the place where those who die an unheroic death go, like those who do not die in battle go there. And this is not a concept album as such, but the lyrics are sort of all set in this universe, and it has more of the same what can you call it, the same atmosphere. This is sort of the atmosphere for the lyrics. Like there's a sense of hopelessness and generally dark times, and
yet, like, a lot of the songs, like, to me, they sound very catchy. They're really, really enjoyable. I think the music is pretty fun, and, so is that juxtaposition something that's deliberate?
If you think it's fun, well, that's just good. I mean, yes, most of it's quite upbeat, and aggressive and kind of in your face, but and that's just our standard style, I guess. The thematic side of it is much darker. I suppose it doesn't really come through all the compositions, though. But it was not something I thought about as a contrast.
It's just how it comes out.
It is, when we just follow our guts when writing the music. That's how it turns out.
Yeah, and Hell is like, it's exactly what Tyr fans have, they come to expect, and it's a sound that I personally love and enjoy. And but like at the same time, I was wondering if there's anything that you wanted to do differently on Hell, and and how you went about achieving that.
Well, we decided very early for the lyrical theme, so and it's very different from the last album, Valkyria. This one's a very dark. Valkyria is lyrically also a very uplifting album in a way. This was supposed to be a darker, harder, and faster album, and we involved Terje and Gunnar more in the songwriting, so it's more diverse and also harder because they write harder and faster music than I do to begin with. So that sort of forgives itself, and we also took our time with this one, worked on the music both in the writing process and the recording process until we were satisfied with it, which unfortunately I can't say for many of our last albums. We sort of rushed it in studio every time, and it was time to. This time I really wanted to not have a deadline to aim for, but rather have a product to aim for, like a quality of songwriting and recording, rather than the deadline. And I'm very glad we did that.
Now, you mentioned Terje just a moment ago, and he left the band pretty recently.
Yeah, he left me all alone, the bastard.
Oh.
No, he had decided after thinking about it for some time now, I understand, that this was not his thing anymore. And that's understandable. If you don't feel like doing it, best to quit. But it's always difficult for a band to change a long-time member. There's no denying that, But he suggested his own replacement, Attila Voros from Hungary, and I didn't really know him myself, but Terje had got to know him over the years in the music business, and it turned out to be an excellent replacement. We played a few shows with him, and he's a very, very dedicated guy, and he knows what he's doing, so I have a good feeling about this lineup.
Awesome. Yeah, it was really sad to see Terje go, because, especially for me, as a native Texan, to have somebody with a Cowboys from Hell tattoo on stage with you guys, I thought was really cool.
Yeah, right. We were all sad in a way to see him go, but also, touring with someone who doesn't really want to be there is also not necessarily fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't realize that Attila was still active. I saw him in Nevermore 9 or 10 years ago, and then I just haven't heard much from him since, and now he's with you guys. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, he was with Satyricon in the meantime.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But he didn't really get his name out much there, I think. But they were quite active, though, as I understand it. They were on tour in the US at the same time as we were there last time.
Yeah.
We actually met him there. Yeah, he's been active. He has a solo project as well, and now he's with us, and looks like a very good combination.
So when on the album, is it Terje that I hear playing guitar, or is it Attila?
Yes. No, Terje played all the stuff before. He told us he was quitting after the album was done.
Okay. And speaking of the material on the new album, you're known for taking a lot of Nordic songs and metalizing them. But the song "Gates of Hell" that you mentioned just a moment ago, the refrain has a line from an old Scottish tune.
It does, yes.
Yeah.
Well, it sort of came after. I had a completely different line there to begin with, and we were looking through all the details of the songs, Gunnar and I, and I don't even remember what the line was now. And there, it was a different melody and different text, and we just said to ourselves, this is just not catchy enough. Let's take something different. And we just, fooled around with it, and I got this idea and tried it, and it worked fine. It's sort of about, the song is directly about, the hordes of hell marching out at the end of time at Ragnarok. They go to the boat Naglfar and join Loki in battle at the end. At Ragnarok, and the song sort of refers to that, and they're walking across the bridge out of hell, and you'll take the high road, I'll take the low road, or however it goes.
Yeah. And
it sort of fit in there, both the melody and the lyrics. So it was just a sort of a patchwork in a way. It was so that was the last thing to be added to the song. It's not like it's built around it like we usually do.
Nah, it turned out really well, and when you guys opened with that song, I noticed, I didn't recognize the song. I noticed that other people didn't recognize it, but everybody loved it immediately.
Yeah, it was really a lot of people told us, it sort of sticks in their minds after hearing it, and that's always a good sign.
Yeah. And what about Downward Drunk? Can you tell me about that song?
Downhill Drunk.
Downhill Drunk.
Yeah, Gunnar wrote it, and it was sort of a rainbow, Deep Purple kind of riff.
Uh-huh.
And it was Gunnar came up with the basic riffs, and I arranged the choirs and the melodies, and we put the song together, Gunnar and I. And I sort of wrote it about, the worries, the problems of being a professional musician. I suppose it sort of shines through there. A bit of complaining about our tight financial circumstances.
I think the reason that I said Downward Drunk is because when I first saw the song title, it just sounded like a yoga posture for mead-loving Vikings, and that image is just stuck in my head.
That's a good one.
It's a really, really enjoyable album, but I also wonder what's your favorite moment on it? Like, what moment are you most proud of?
Look, I always try to. I go for the epic impression always, and the more epic I can make it, the happier I tend to be. So there are two songs that I am really proud of, where I think I made it quite, high flying, and that is the ballad Ragnarskveðja.
Yes.
And then there's one that's based on a Swedish folk melody, and it's called King of Time. And when the verse comes in, the vocals and the drums in the verse, I may sound conceited, but I sort of give myself the chills when I listen to it. And I feel I hit the nail on the head there, and I'm glad I did it.
Yeah, that's one of those moments on the album that really kind of stops you in the middle of what you're doing, and it demands your attention.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm sure you're probably tired of discussing this, but some of your use of runic imagery has gotten Tyr into a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, well, not much trouble really. There's some complaining about it now and then, and there were even some attempts to boycott our shows. This was 15, 20 years ago. It was a long time ago.
Uh-huh.
It happened in Berlin, in Germany, and not really anywhere else. But that was the only time, fortunately, that anything serious looked like it was about to happen. And we hear a little bit every now and then, but nothing serious. Like there's nothing like, for example, the whaling issue. Mm-hmm. Not even close. So I'm not worried about the runes as much as I am about the pictures of me slaughtering whales.
Yeah. Well, because I bring this up because I saw you guys in Austin last year, and I saw some guys there that I've had confrontations with in the past, and they are white supremacist, Nazi black metal idiots. And I saw some of them at your show.
At our show in May?
Yeah, here in Texas.
With the Jewish band?
Yeah, and the Arab guy in the other band.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a weird coincidence. Anyway, we made a song about this, Shadow of the Swastika, and if you know how to read, then you know that we do not support the right extremists, nor do we support the left extremists.
And I thought that especially that song and that touring lineup was an incredible way to repudiate the attitudes that they think that you stand for.
Exactly. Apparently, they don't know how to read, and they didn't look up where the supporting acts came from either.
Nope.
So, anyway, guys that disorganized aren't going to make much of an impact on anything, so I am not worried.
Yeah, I'm not worried about them either. I just think it speaks really, really well to their own stupidity.
Exactly.
So, what is it with the Nordic countries that makes metal so prominent?
I don't know. I've thought about it a lot, actually, and I think in the Faroes, it's quite simply the fact that we are geographically close to the UK, or the England, where heavy metal was invented, so to speak, And there was a lot of fishing industry in the Faroes, and there was a lot of young men working in the fishing industry, and they sail, among other places, to England to sell their catch, and they got some money. They buy some LPs, bring them home with them, and then there's the radio stations that were playing rock and metal in the 70s and 80s, and they could be heard in the Faroes as well, all the way from the Netherlands and the UK. So this came quite early, as soon as it became popular, really, in England, it came to the Faroes, and I suppose the rest of Scandinavia as well. Mm-hmm. And there were a lot of LPs around. I think, as long as I can remember, bands like Deep Purple, Black Sabbath, Judas Priest, all the early heavy metal bands were popular in the Faroes, and I don't know. I think it's geological coincidence, geographical coincidence.
I've been wondering that because especially the Faroes, you have 60,000 inhabitants on those islands.
51,000, I think.
Wow. Statistically, your band should not exist.
Nope. Nor should the 5 other metal bands.
I didn't realize there was more than that. Yeah, so...
Yeah, there are a few.
Yeah, and so, what are the odds? Such a tiny population with, a respectable number of bands, and, you guys have achieved a respectable degree of success as well. So is it, enchanted over there or something?
I don't know. People have... I've heard from bookers and promoters from Germany and elsewhere who come to the Faroes and go to shows and contests and there's Wacken Metal Battle and whatnot, and they all say, I take their word for it, I don't know this, but they say there's a unique talent for songwriting in the Faroes, if nothing else. And that could be from tradition. Singing is a very common social activity. Singing together is about the least inhibited thing you can do, whereas I find that if I go to the UK, for example, people are sort of shy about singing out loud in public unless they're trained, and there's the live the quite living tradition of folk music, so that coupled with the all ever present pop music on radio maybe helps give people a broad and rich perspective on music. So I couldn't really say where it comes from, but those are just my guessings.
I don't want to butcher the name, but you have another band.
Yes, I dare you to pronounce it.
Okay, I'll try. Heljarega?
Yeah, just a soft G. If you turn the G into a Y, Heljarega, then it's correct.
Heljarega?
Yeah.
Okay.
Close enough. Very good. Very good.
Awesome. Thank you. So, what's the story with that Heljarega? It's been a few years.
Yeah, it has. After your tour just took off and it took all my time until 2013 was the last album, and I had a dream of making the next album before this one, but no, there's been too much to do with tour. I have the songs, not all of them quite ready, but some of them, and I will make another album come hell or high water, and when I don't know. First I have another project that I'm working on together with my girlfriend, actually. Oh, really? That I want to finish, then my solo album, then the next tour album, if things go as I plan. Okay,
so what's this project you're doing with your girlfriend?
Just her band. She's made a band. Well, she's a singer, and she had the ambition to get into the music business for many years. She tried this and that, guest vocals here and there, and she had a band that disbanded recently, and now she formed her own project, and I couldn't help but get involved with that. Can't say no.
Yeah, of course. What kind of music is she doing?
I suppose it's symphonic progressive modern metal.
Oh, cool.
It'll be a bit different, more progressive, a bit more symphonic, with orchestrations and things that we haven't used into it at least.
Yeah. Okay. So is there like a projected date for a release there?
No. We have about 4 or 5 songs down now, and we're working on songs daily. And hope to. Well, we need to finish some songs and get a label and see if we can release it. You know how it goes.
Yeah. Well, cool. I wish you the best there. That sounds great.
Thanks.
I got one last question for you, Heri. How does whale taste, and is it worth the trouble?
The closest I can think of that I've tasted is really salty beef jerky.
Oh.
So it's kind of chewy and dark and very salty, but it has a much thicker taste. But I mean, if you get a whale, it's tons of meat for you, and you get it only for the work, and you can fill your freezer with it, and you don't need to go buy meat again for 2 years, and the hell yeah, it's worth the trouble. I mean, you count the money that you save.
Yeah, no kidding.
It's like, do you hunt?
I've gone hunting once or twice.
Yeah, bring home a big animal. There's a lot of meat on it, and you got it for doing it yourself. And meat's expensive.
Yeah,
it is in the Faroes at least.
Yeah, I think you end up spending more money on storing it if you don't have a big enough freezer.
Yeah.
Oh well, hey man, it's been a fantastic chat. I'm really grateful that we were able to finally link up after the snafu yesterday.
Yeah, this was a great interview, man. Thanks for doing it.
Absolutely, thank you so much. And when do you guys go on the road again?
We're going to the 70,000 tons now in a week, and then we have a tour in Europe in April, and then we'll be back in the US.
Now, how's a group of guys from way up north going to handle the Caribbean weather?
We've been there 3 times before. It's okay. We like the heat too. It's not that bad.
Okay. Well, cool, man. Enjoy the boat, and yeah, I'll see you on the road sometime.
Yeah, I will. See you around, man.
All right, thank you. That was singer-guitarist Heri Joensen of the Faroese Viking metal band Tyr, or as he prefers,
Tyr.
From the band
Tyr
are presently gearing up for the 70,000 tons of metal cruise from January 31st to February 4th, and their new album is called Hell, and it will be available on March 8th, 2019, through Metal Blade Records. Remember to subscribe to us on Stitcher, Apple, and Google Play to get notified of all of our audio content, like artist interviews, our concert chats, live perspectives, and every time the Talking Perspective podcast drops a new episode. You can also like, follow, and stalk us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Just search for Sonic Perspectives. Thanks again for listening. We're going to take you out with a cut that the National Socialist black metal quits are too dumb to realize is actually anti-Nazi. This is Shadow of the Swastika.